Well, that yellow light says that we're live here now. It's Thursday, 9 o'clock, and I know some of you are probably wondering what the heck is going on because usually we see the gang on Sunday. Now, what we decided to do is move the show on here. See, I'm telling everyone to mute it, and guess what? Mine's not muted, and I did mute it. So, here the host. I was talking about my nerves and a rookie mistake, but we fixed that quickly. So. Um, Typically, we've been doing the show, and this is actually our 10th show. We've been doing the show at 7 o'clock on Sunday, and it was discussed, between us that because of scheduling in the summer coming up and school and stuff like that, that we would move it to Thursday. And the girls had asked me, Kimberly and Destiny, if I'm sure I'm up to, the girls say what to do. I just do it. You know what I mean? I know better. So here we are on Thursday, and it's Thursday Live with Kimberly, Destiny, and Patdees. I mean, Destiny is not with us today, though. Unfortunately, she had a emergency this past week, a medical. And if you guys follow her, Shamrock Pixie, she was on earlier. She just came home from the hospital today, and she explained that, she's doing much better and stuff like that, but she is still part of the show. We are just giving her a little, break. And we told her, if you want to come on and stuff, but she's resting and stuff like that. So she might pop into the chat. So what I'm excited for is this week is we have two special guests. We have Jessica Hill, that is the founder of the Ladies of FBA. And we invited Tiffany. Now, Tiffany, how do you say your last name?
Tiffany Cherie.
Cherie. Is that French?
Yes.
Yes. I asked her to sit in because she's got the perfect name for this discussion: Eat, Sleep, Amazon. And and that's what we're going to talk about. This show, we talk about eBay, we talk about Amazon, we talk about life. This show, we're going to talk with Jessica. We brought Jessica on to talk about what she's doing on Amazon and the success, that she has. So I want to. We're a couple of minutes in the show. I'll throw it over to Kim if you want to say hello and kind of, say hello to the people in the chat. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Hello, all of YouTube. My name is Kimberly. My YouTube channel is Borderline Hoarderish, where hoarding is only cool if you can sell it for a profit, folks. Let me say hi to a few people in the chat. I see we have Big Red. Hello, Joshua. Vikings Mother. Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming by. John, I'm so glad to see you, Football Manager John. I know that you're on a little bit of a time difference, so it's definitely an honor, and I'm so happy that you took time out of your day to spend it with us. Thank you for coming by, sir. Let's see who else we have. Jennifer. Jennifer is one of our good supporters of so many of us. Love you, Jennifer Hayes. Thank you for coming by. Alex, Batman the Flipper, what up, yo? Harlan's Reselling Adventures. Tracy, Uniquely Me. There's Derek. Look at all these people starting to flow in now. Derek, NASCAR Man 3345, a good friend of mine. He's awesome. Star City Picker, Rick. What's up, Rick? Thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry if I forgot anybody or missed anybody. I will try to catch you as you all come in. Hi, Dee, Flipping Particles, and Steve. Thank you all for stopping by on our new night for our Sunday show, which is now the Thursday night live with us. Well, we're minus the Destiny.
But I'm sure she'll get better and she'll come back.
I can't
thank everybody. I see people already. I see Steve. I see Harlan. Alex and Derek, a lot of the people that, we kind of, there's a small group of us that kind of go around. It isn't Sunday. I know. There's Scott, and he's giving me hell because it's not Sunday. But the girls asked me if I would come on Thursday. So I'm like, all right, we'll do it Thursday. Because, in all honesty, there was a couple shows that were on Sunday. And that was one of the reasons. And also because of the nice weather and doing things with your family, we like to watch, we watch Scott, we watch Rise and Grind, we watch other channels ourselves. So we wanted to do a show that was on a night that other people weren't doing it, and that would fit with all of our schedules. So that's why we're here Thursday live. And here's Eric, Nameless Picker. He's in the room. I want to introduce our co-host, Tiffany. Tiffany, tell them who you are, your channel, where you're from.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Tiffany. I go by Amazon on YouTube and Instagram. And I normally do a Saturday night show around 9 p.m., 10 p.m. We mix it up with a few guys. So I'm really honored to be here tonight. And I just want to thank you guys for having me on.
Glad to have you. Yeah, that would be Fat Man Flipper, Alex, right? That you usually hang out with. He's in the chat right now. Yeah.
And Suburban Beard.
Yes, good people. Good group of guys.
Right. Now, let's introduce our special guest tonight, Jessica Hill. She's the founders of the Ladies of FBA. How I found Jess was actually through Instagram. You know, I never was on Instagram until Wade from Wade's Venture told me, Pat, you got to get on Instagram. And I'm like, what do I need to get on Instagram for? There's so much drama on Facebook. And I'm like, no, it's not like that. You post your picture, you network, you get to know a lot of people. And you know what? He was right. It's amazing every day I turn on that Instagram and people are now they're following you. And they don't even know what they don't see my personal pictures. They don't see, me acting like a clown or the kids and stuff. So it's just amazing that people are following me on Instagram by just a couple little snapshots. So I want to introduce Jessica. And Jessica, why don't you tell everyone who you are and say hello?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jessica Hill. I'm the founder of Ladies of FBA on Facebook. That's the platform I started on as far as, having a following or sharing my story. So I'm on Facebook at Ladies of FBA. I'm on Instagram. I'm here on YouTube. This is my first YouTube live, so yay! Yeah. So did you want me to tell my history?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we got you on here. We want to know everything about you.
Yeah, so I've been on Amazon for a little over 3 years, full time. So prior to Amazon, I had been on eBay for a super long time with my mom. We used to actually go to auctions, like when I was in college in 2000, 2002, 2003. And so then I worked in corporate for 15 years, and then I decided in 2015 I was introduced to Amazon FBA. And I thought, oh, wow, that's cool. They're going to store it for you. And I don't have to have it in my house or in my basement or in my garage. And so in 2016, I was having a life event and I just changed my life and I started full time on Amazon. I think some of you know I have 4 kids, so that's a big deal, toting them to all these places and activities. So that, working for myself enables me to be their taxi driver. So, and, go on their field trips and all that fun stuff. So that was like my Amazon journey. And in 2017, I had been in a lot of Facebook groups and, you know what? I should tell you that from 2011 to 2017, I was an extreme couponer. So that's like, it was really big for me to find the deals every single day. But then I was like, how do I turn this into like a moneymaker instead of just having like my family store in the basement? So that was like another part of my journey coming into Amazon was like couponing and then selling the couponing stuff on Amazon, right? So I wanted to mention that. So that's kind of the history. And then so in 2017, I was in all these groups, and my friend Jill and I were both super couponers. She lives here in St. Louis, near St. Louis with me. And I was like, let's start a ladies group, And so that's where Ladies of FBA kind of came to fruition on Facebook. So I've just been kind of branching out. And like Pat said, he found me on Instagram. And I have just been on Instagram not very long, just a few months. So it was really exciting to get to know more people outside of just the Facebook world, the Instagram and now the YouTube world. So it's really exciting for me. So that's kind of that's kind of who I am.
That's
now,
awesome.
who are the ladies of FBA? Is it a couple of you use?
Oh, yeah. So I can tell you from the East Coast. My husband is also. So Ladies of FBA, we have like 1,500 people now, I think. So it just started off as me and Jill, my girlfriend, and then it kind of flourished. And then this past, so 2017, less than 2 years, so about 1,500, maybe close to 1,600 people now, and it's women in all of e-commerce. The name is FBA, so we do talk about Amazon a lot, but we talk about Poshmark, Mercari, we talk about Bonanza, we talk about eBay, obviously, Wish, really anything e-commerce, and it's just a supportive, drama-free group. Okay, I don't tolerate drama from the kids or the adults.
My kind of group.
That's right, and a lot of people do appreciate that. And it was just the niche I want. I wanted a girls group. So I do have Jessica Hill, Ladies of FBA page for my co-ed followers, and that's why I branched off to Instagram and YouTube, because everybody, right?
Now, can you? Why don't you tell us the platforms that you currently sell on?
Okay, so full-time Amazon, that's pretty much 90% of my business. So, and then of course I put my I do a lot of beauty. So sometimes I'll have beauty overstock, and I do Mercari. I've done a little over $10,000 on Mercari. I think maybe it's $11,000 in the past year. And then I'm on Poshmark, but that's only for returns. So maybe I'll sell $1,000 a year on Poshmark. And then eBay, obviously, for my returns and any kind of maybe mistakes. So I've been on eBay for a super long time. So that's I'm on all four of those platforms. But Amazon is my big one.
Kimberly, you want to ask a question?
Well, I didn't have one prepared right yet.
Oh,
That's okay.
Don't worry.
Mine was towards the end where you told me to put questions.
Right?
I don't see this in the outline, Patrick.
Yeah, you give
Where's
us the
this in the
outline,
outline?
Well, I never want to get accused that Pat talks for the first 25 minutes and doesn't let the girls ask questions.
Oh,
So
no, you're right. I was paying attention to the chat. So.
Just because I'm hosting it this week, I'm, got to give you guys a chance. So, even my older son here. Now, my older son, Nathan, is in the room. He lives about 35, 40 minutes away. I think this is the first live that he's on with me. So he's finally listening to the old man too. I'm kind of amazed by that.
Oh, so that's why you have the jitters.
No, I have the jitters. I have the jitters because of you ladies being on. So, when I had called you, and I said, hey, and you were all like technical about it. I had to go on this website, set up a meeting. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to set up this meeting to meet this lady, and if I don't get there at a certain time, and
it's okay. Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because my buddy Scott, the bearded picker, said, "Let me talk, or I'll sleep like I did on the morning show." I don't sleep on the morning. I'm not a morning person. I will say that. But going back to Jessica, I'm so excited to meet you and talk to you, and because again, I said this to you before. You could have said no.
Right.
I mean, I brought you guys on the show because I need to honestly step up my game. I don't go out here and say that I sell X amount of dollars. I'm new to Amazon because of Scott and Shane. I started in January, and I'm only selling right now about $1,000 a month. I'm looking, because of health issues and past business, I'm looking to step up my game and do. And the reason I want to do this is not part-time like I was doing eBay before, is the opportunity to better my family. One of the reasons I am doing it is I do like having the ability. Now on the weekends, what I'm doing is I'm going to yard sales, I'm going to flea market. YouTube consumes me a lot as far as trying to develop this channel into something that people care about. You know, so I invite you because I want to learn. I want to learn from you, and I want to give back to the viewers. And this is where I want you to talk about, you know, how you, what made you decide that, what was that point that you decided, you know what, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and you know, you talked about running the kids around. We joke that's called a soccer mom, but you're not just a soccer mom because you're running a business out of your house. What was that point in your life that you said, I don't want to go to a 9-to-5 corporate world and I want to do something that's going to better my family and give me that freedom?
So yeah, absolutely. So I did have one of the worst bosses. I will omit their name because this is all public knowledge, right? No, anyways. So once I had gotten laid off at Monsanto, they were switching over to Bayer, and I mean there was massive layoffs. And so with the layoff, I got a severance. And so I had just gotten divorced the year before. And this was my chance. This was my chance to do something that I wanted to do and take a risk because I didn't have anybody saying no. And, you know, I had this funding. I had business funding that I had been working, you know, 15 years for the man. And so I just said, you know what? I was a hustler, right? I have obviously sold on e-commerce, but I've also been a ticket scalper. Like I've done everything that you could think of to make extra money for the family, you know. And when we were couponing, I paid off $30,000 of debt in less than 2 years. I think it was even less than 18 months. So I
Jess,
knew.
Excuse me, can you dig more into how you pay? You know, I get made fun of because I go on Scott's show and I try to give my friends coupons and they don't want to take my coupons. And, you know, I try to, you know, and so show these guys how you can save money and pay off $30,000 worth of debt just doing couponing.
So okay, first I stalked my free newspaper thrower guy. His name is Dave, and we're like best friends. He's kind of like my dad. And so what I would do is I would get 400 inserts every week, 400 inserts. And I would pass along a basket full of goodies to him, you know, laundry detergent and household stuff in exchange for payment. So it was like a barter. And then I would sell the coupons. This was when eBay would allow you to sell tons of coupons. And then I would also coupon for goods, and I would sell them on Facebook Marketplace. I would set up a booth at like this local daycare, and I would sell $300 or $400 on a Saturday morning of the stuff I got for free with couponing. Of course, it's time, right? So you're exchanging time for money, whatever. But I was working in corporate. I had 2 small children, and we were able to pay off that debt. So that was like, so I knew that I could do something. And sitting at a desk just wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so that's when, and so I started in October of 2017, which is Q4. And you know, Q4, if you start in Q4 and you get some sales, you get hooked. Like, you're like, oh, all of those Halloween costumes sold for Christmas, I'm making money, right? So I was hooked in Q4. And then by the time March rolled around, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm just going to jump in. And if all else fails, I can always go back to corporate, you know? So, so I did want to mention my model, right? Because I think a lot of people will want to know, what model do I do? So I am retail arbitrage. So, you know, 80% of my business is going to the stores and buying stuff, you know, that makes a profit on Amazon. And then I couple that with online arbitrage and a little bit of wholesale. But I know a lot of people ask that, you know, because they see, oh, you're going to do $1 million this year. Well, what's your model? Are you doing private label? So I'm kind of like not in the private label world. I know lots of great people there, but I'm in retail arbitrage. So I teach classes on what store. Basically, I teach classes that I could have taught a long time ago since I know how to coupon, you know, and how to shop at those stores. And then instead of couponing, it's to make a profit on Amazon.
What, you know, you talked about selling these. What made you, I'll be honest, I worked at Amazon 4 years ago in the warehouse, and I didn't realize how many people were willing to pay $22 to have water shipped to them. And I started realizing the convenience of Amazon and what the opportunity was. But I always still thought it was an Amazon opportunity. I didn't realize it was a third-party opportunity and how other people could get into it until when I had my surgery in November, and I was thinking like, wow, I know people do eBay. And then all of a sudden I came across Scott and they're talking about, they were talking about the numbers that they did. And I'm like, wow, this guy makes this much money. He's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. He hasn't been doing it for a month and gave up. And he has really only himself as an employee. Now he's expanding and stuff like that. But here I was a guy that had at one time 50 employees and had that responsibility of going into a 7-day-a-week business and having the responsibility of paying employees, whether it was good or bad. What, like that, I'm telling you, that's how I found out about Amazon. But what was that point where you said, I can ship stuff into Amazon? I think a lot of people don't realize, and I know now also because I follow the stock market that 50% of the merchandise at Christmas time is sold by third party. It's not supplied by Amazon. What was that you said a light bulb went on?
So it's 58%. I just read it before we got on here. It's a 58% of the sales on Amazon come from third-party sellers. They are running some promotions for the Prime Day that have lower fees right now. So they're like, send it in, we'll give you lower fees. So the light bulb went off. My friend had told me, he was like, hey, you're a hustler. You've done all of these things. Why aren't you on Amazon? And he said, my friend is making $40,000 a year profit on the side. And that's paying for their real estate investments. So, a lot of people do a lot of income streams. And he was like, you should try it. And I'm like, okay. Well, lo and behold, I had actually signed up for an account in 2013. And I remember selling some Zantac that I had gotten couponing. And then I was like, this website is too confusing, right? I was only like an eBay person. So the good thing about having an older account was like I was ungated in a bunch of stuff like media, DVDs, and all this good stuff. So I was like, okay, it's a sign. And so, like I said, I just tried it, and it was Q4. So everything I sent in, it all sold, and I was like, wow, So I think it was just like a push that I needed. Like my friend mentioned it. He mentioned someone that was making money on it, and I was like, oh. And then the convenience factor, right? All I have to do is fill a box and send it to a warehouse as opposed to single item shipping for eBay or Mercari. So that was kind of my friend told me to do it. And then I was like, okay.
Now, were you still doing your other full-time job when you did this?
So at the time, so October, I was dabbling in it. November, I got laid off. So November and December, I just put some money into Amazon, and I was like, that's cool. I was kind of I still went back to corporate in January because I had no idea how everything was going to shake out, And so in January, I actually got a job right off the bat. So I was actually really lucky because I got to double dip on severance and a paycheck. Not a lot of people get to do that. So I did go back to corporate for about 7 weeks. And literally, they told me that I needed to run a report at 3 p.m. every single day for management. And I was like, I'm gonna die. So I was like, no, here's my 2 weeks. I'm like, I'm done.
And that's brave to do because not everybody can do that. That's the thing. I think when you're doing Amazon versus eBay, eBay, it can be a business, but a lot of times to me, people sell stuff around their house or it's one-off. Amazon really, and you have shown how to scale it. And a lot of people don't know what that means. Could you explain that a little bit more about scaling as far as in other words, when you made it, a lot of people in business, I know what it means, but a lot of people when they're in business, if they do $5,000, they want to put $4,000 in their pocket and just leave $1,000 there. And then they wonder why they can't grow their business from, let's say, 50,000 to 250,000 because they're not plowing the money back into the business.
Right. So I didn't really take a paycheck for 18 months. It was a long time, and I just built. So the first year in 2016, I did $184,000 in sales, and I pretty much funneled everything, unless it was like I had to pay my mortgage, right? Back into my business. And then in 2017, I did 256,000, and then last year I did 513, and this year we're on track to do $1 million. So the thing is you learn a method. So whether you choose to do private label, wholesale, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, and then of course books and thrifting, then you just, what I suggest is learning it, and then learning your model, and then adding to what you know. So I will never walk away from RA until I have a fully scaled model to something else. Does that make sense? So right now, so for RA, I started off and I was buying everything. I was shopping. This is the level that I was at. I did not have funds to hire people. I did not have fun. I did not want to spend money on prep services or anything. And I purely did it myself. For the first 2 years, I mean, I just worked, right? It's not easy. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, and it's 24 hours, when you have to answer the customers' emails and everything. And then finally, in 2017, late 2017, I had a baby. And so then after she was about 6 months old, I was like, okay, I can't do this myself. So my girlfriend, and she was helping me both with the business and with the baby, because she did stay home with me until she was 15 months old. So she did a lot of prepping, right? That's the first thing you outsource, is the prepping. And then that helped me, right? Be able to enable me to source more, right? Because the time, it's all about time, right? Scaling is all about time. So now I have 4 people that work for me. 3 of them are sorcerers, and 1 is my same prep assistant that lives here in St. Louis. And then I just hired a VA for like my website and my social media stuff. So it's all about taking. You can take a paycheck. That's your business to assess. But for a growth model, it'll be a while. I mean, and I think in any business, it takes a while to build a profitable business and to be taking, significant paychecks, right? I just kind of cap mine. I take $1,000 a week from the business. I reinvest the rest, but I do well over that in profit. So that's kind of where I am with my business.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because people are always skeptical when you're bringing somebody on, is well, they're doing this, but are they really making money? Right. And my argument is, well, why would they do it if they're not making money? It's not something that's just I mean, you're doing big numbers, and you've been doing it long enough to know that if you're not going to make money, you're going to do something else.
Right.
Let me just clarify something real quick. I had said earlier about eBay. No, eBay is a business for many people. And what I was trying to say, and got a little tongue-tied there, it's just a different model from Amazon. Now, if I want to do eBay, and if I want to travel, let's say, on the road, if I don't have no one here to pack up my packages to ship out on eBay, I'm in trouble. In a sense, the business is shut down if I don't have somebody. The lure of Amazon is being able to ship that stuff into a warehouse where they take care of the responsibility of the customer service and doing all that stuff and shipping out. So that's what I was trying to clarify. There's many people on here. I've become friends with Eric and Jason. They sell a lot. They have a niche and sell a lot of things on eBay, and it's a successful, but could they pick up now without hiring someone and go away for 2 months? That would be hard. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, I've taught my son Joshua how to, if I need to be out a couple days, and he's learning because he has his own store too. He's doing that. But I think the long-term appeal of Amazon is being able to buy something that you can sell 25 of a week, where sometimes, on eBay, it might be something that you may be lucky you buy for 20 and you flip it for 200, where you're not seeing that kind of numbers on Amazon. You're not you're not doing retail arbitrage where you're buying, and if I'm wrong, correct me, you're not buying stuff for 20 and flipping it for 200.
Not that much, but
Right.
my thresholds, if you'd like to know them. So for everything but grocery, because grocery is fast flip. So my thresholds for grocery is a minimum of 30% return on investment. And then the ranking system on Amazon, it shows you the sales velocity. So I like to say that I'd like to stay around a 50K rank. So the lower the rank, the faster it moves, right? And then so for the other categories like clothing and toys and health and beauty, I will go up to I would like to have a 70% return on investment, and then I want the rank to be under 100,000. Of course, if I can get the rank as like 1, that would be awesome, but you have to be realistic. So I mentioned that a lot of my stuff is beauty. So a lot of it is right around 50K rank or less. And a lot of it is right around 70% return on investment or better. And then we use a repricer to keep our prices competitive with the competition on Amazon. And so I'll go down to, a 50% or a 40% return on investment with my repricer so that I still stay in that buy box on Amazon.
Right. Now, you're putting a lot of numbers out that people maybe quite don't understand.
Right.
Let's break it down to simple. When you say you're 50%, so if you're buying something for $10, you want to sell it for in other words, when you say you want 30%, do you want 30% after eBay or Amazon's fees?
Yes.
Right. So, exactly.
Yeah. It has to be a minimum of a 30% return on investment after the prep and shipping and pick and pull fees from Amazon and fulfillment fees. Referral fees, sorry.
Right. So then what do you try to do? If you buy, like, for example, a $10 item, and one of the things you just recently, I noticed, and you put it out there publicly, so I'm not outing a source, but you put it on Instagram that you just recently did some retail arbitrage at Kohl's department stores.
Oh, it's the love of my life. Oh, wait, my husband is. But yes, Kohl's is the retail arbitrage love of my life.
So husband Kohl's, huh?
That's awesome. I was just at Kohl's today. I do a little RA in Kohl's, a little bit.
Girl, you got to get up in my level.
I know, right? Shoot.
Yeah,
it's especially because I was an extreme couponer myself.
Right?
Many years ago before they changed the rules, and it made it a little harder, so I stopped.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, girl. See, I knew I loved you from the beginning.
Why don't we I'm going to give Jessica a little bit of a break because if she wants to take a drink or something like that. Why don't we talk to Tiffany a little bit? Yeah. Tiffany, has the perfect name for this show. What is it? Eat, Sleep, Jeep?
Eat, Sleep, Amazon.
Oh, Eat, Sleep, Amazon. Okay.
Yes.
Tiffany, tell us about yourself and how long you've been doing it, and what made you want to go into Amazon?
Yeah, so I've been doing Amazon. I just hit a few days ago my 3rd month. So I had done some reselling before on eBay, but it was mostly just like items around my house that I wanted to get rid of. Basically I found out about Amazon from someone that has been doing Amazon for a long time, like 9 years. But he strictly does wholesale. But he kind of gave me enough information. He wanted me to kind of like go into business with him doing private label. But the more I found out about private label, I was like, this is not really a business model for me. And then when I started doing my research and I found out about like retail arbitrage and online arbitrage, and then exactly like how wholesale works, I was like, okay, these are what sound like would be a good fit for me. So I absorbed as much information as I could. And I read like the Amazon terms of service, and I watched a lot of Seller Central videos before I got started. But once I felt like I got to a certain level where I had the knowledge I needed to kind of hit the ground running, I just sort of went for it.
Now, what made you, and this is a question for Tiffany and Jessica, what was the, like, okay, this is what I got to buy? because a lot of people, to be honest, they just assume they can sell everything on Amazon, and then they set themselves up for disappointment. They go in, oh, this is a good buy, good, and then they get it home and they're like, oh, I can't sell this, I can't sell that. What, Tiffany? You're new, and I've seen you've posted some of your, Instagram posts, like what your sales were for the last month. You're new. I mean, there's things that I'm new too in January, and I'm only selling $1,000 a month. And that's the problem I run into, is that I am not approved for enough things. I'll be honest. I have not sold no clothes from Kohl's on, because I didn't think about it. I mean, I've bought clothes before in the past from Kohl's at 75, 90% off, and have flipped it on eBay, but I just never thought about taking Kohl's. And I actually, here's another thing. I worked for Kohl's 20 years ago when my wife was pregnant. I used to be a loss prevention officer for Kohl's. So I got very familiar with Kohl's because I had the Kohl's credit card. And I know that if you time it right with the 30% off, you're even getting better deals because they take 30% off the top of the clearance. Plus the Kohl's bucks, you spend 50, you get 10. So there's a lot of ways to even maximize your profits even more. What made you, like, you guys, how did you find something?
So I learned from other FBA sellers. We call it bra arbitrage, like selling bras and flipping them for a profit, right? And like,
I laugh. I have to
bras?
laugh because I did a video called that, Retail Bra Arbitrage.
Yes. Yes.
And it was because Shane Rise and Grind picked her, and I never would have thought he was going into Walmart and buying bras for like $3. And I got there and I was able to buy bras for $1.03. And guess what? I have sold them. And I don't care whether I have or not. If I could sell it and it's legal, I got approved, and I sent probably about 25 in that I was able to get a hold of.
Yeah. So why do it again? So yeah, I mean, I sell all the bras. We have, I think I go to like 7 Kohl's here in St. Louis, and I just sweep them all out. And so that was my start for Kohl's. I mean, I've had a Kohl's credit card since like 2004. So like I've been shopping there personally and doing the coupons and doing, for my family. And so when I was following people in the FBA groups, and I was like, oh wow, bra arbitrage, I'm in. I can do that. Ladies need bras, and especially when, any kind of size, if you can find a good size, a good brand, you want to buy it, you're going to buy it, and then, especially if you don't have to leave your couch. And then I ventured out into all the other categories. The only category that I don't shop there is toys. Their toys they're pretty pricey. But all the rest of the departments in Kohl's, I can find profit.
And how do you, this is, something I ran into with Kohl's. I always know that at the end of the Christmas holidays, they always have their toy clearance. And that's when you can they get aggressive on wanting to move that. And the very first items that I sold were from Kohl's. And within 2 days, I got suspended or put in, I called it Amazon jail, because they wanted me to provide a receipt. Yep. Kohl's receipts are very difficult because it doesn't say this toy. You have to match and it took me about 5 days to get the issue resolved.
Okay, so I would have just done a backward search. So I would have taken the ASIN and figured out what the UPC code was, and then matched the UPC code with your receipt. So I'm not sure, but so I've been suspended twice. Like, everybody knows it. The reason I was suspended the first time was for IP claims, that my it was a maternity bra, and that brand chapstick were fake. Well, they weren't. So I submitted my receipts and my invoices, proved myself obviously fine. But then I forgot to take them off of Canada. So then I got resuspended for the same thing, and then I had to take them off of Canada. So if you learn anything today, it's to take your listings off of the internationals. But the thing is if you are an honest seller and you do your due diligence and you have your receipts, you have your invoices, you're not doing something wrong, typically 95% of the time you're going to get reinstated. I've worked with a lot of people, over 30 people, to get them reinstated. The only people we could not reinstate were people that thrifted items without a receipt, an itemized receipt from a thrift store. That's not going to work. So don't buy your bras at thrift stores. And then books are fine, but not anything else. And then there was one person that finally told us the truth that his items were counterfeit, and then one person that finally told us the truth that he had stolen the items. So we're like, okay, we cannot get you reinstated. You're just going to have to go do something else, and we refunded their money. So I don't want you to be afraid of getting suspended. It does happen, and the reason Amazon does that, or they send you the performance notifications, is to protect them. And as long as you're an honest seller with your receipts and your invoices, you're nice and organized, you can get reinstated, get those things just, or you can get them removed if it's just like a claim from a brand. So that's, I have experience, so you can always give me a ring.
All right, Kimberly.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that's good information, Jessica. I'm glad that you shared that, because to be honest, my biggest fear is getting suspended, and I've heard so many people talk about it, and it's one of those things where like I try to be positive, but it's a reality, that can happen, and it sounds like it's happened to so everyone's experienced it. If you've spent enough time on Amazon,
right? Just do your due diligence and keep your stuff organized. And if you start with the organized at the beginning, it'll be fine. Like I got 20 claims from one brand a few weeks ago, but I was organized and I freaked out. I allowed myself to have emotions for 1 hour. And then I was like, all right, solve the problem. Send in your invoices, send in your appeal. I was not suspended. They just said, hey, prove it. And I did. And within 48 hours, they were all reinstated. And I was like, yeah, girl.
How do you stay, you keep talking about staying organized. Do you just keep your receipts in a spot, or do you have a special app? Or I know there's printers that you can scan and your receipts. How do you stay organized?
Yes, it's a big deal, right? Because I'm shipping over 40,000. Well, so I shipped over $100,000 for May. So I use Neat Receipt. I have a little scanner. They also have an app on your phone, and once a month, one of my assistants will scan all of the receipts. But the great thing about Neat Receipt is I can just type in the UPC code, and it will bring up all of the receipts with that UPC on it. So if I got a bra or whatever, and then I can just pull all those receipts, those files, and then that's why it only took me like an hour and 15 minutes to submit that 20 claims. And that was like with my freak out. And I was like, all right, I'm going to submit it. I'm going to submit. And the only other thing you need when you're, if you do have a claim, is your a copy of your license or your identification, and then the form of payment you used. So I just keep it organized. And so for my sorcerers, right, because they're in Pennsylvania and Oregon, so they put their receipts in a Dropbox every week for the stores that they source. And if it's for Ross or Marshalls or TJ Maxx, they'll put the pictures of the items as well. And that's how we got to stay on top of it, because you never know when you're going to get a claim. And when you're selling 3,000 to 5,000 items a month, it's a lot.
right?
Right. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are kind of intimidated with Amazon and all of that. But it's good to know that staying organized, and a way to stay organized. That's my biggest thing. I like to figure out whatever I'm trying to sell on, like eBay, for example. I figured out eBay before I added any other, places to sell anything. And I know it for me, Amazon to eBay in my eyes is easier, but it's good to see that you can easily be, successful. You just got to kind of not let the hurdles, get in the way and get intimidated, by it. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Now and Alex, Fat Man the Flipper's in the chat, and I know he's joking. He says, "Question: I want to get rich quick. Is Amazon for me? Honest answers only." Now we know. I mean, and rich to some people, it means a lot of different things. To me, I like the independence. If I could make $50,000 a year, that would be. But depending upon where you live in this country, sometimes 50,000 is not the same value as it is here in Pennsylvania. You must have yourself a plan where did you have a plan to say, I want to do $1 million in net X amount and then maintain that, or do you have this goal in mind to say, I want to keep growing and growing and growing, and I have a $5 million year I want to do?
So I'm going to be honest with you, and I actually cried when I hit $60,000. I mean, I've cried a lot because I'm very grateful for everything. This is quite amazing what's going on. But when I hit $60,000 in 1 month, that was like, I don't know, that first day that you get 1,000 and then 60,000, I was just like, how is this even happening? So, I have mentors that I have 2 mentors, Sean Michael and then Amy Weiss. Sean is my FBA mentor and Amy is my branding mentor. And he just tells me every year to double it. And I just do it. Like, there's just something about like someone else telling you to reach a higher potential, and then you just go in for it. And that's kind of who I always have been. So, 513,000, double it, right? And like, I don't know why I do it, but I just do. And like, it's so fulfilling. But the thing is I want to bring people with me. And that's why I created my group, is to bring people with me on this journey and teach them and show them that you can do it. If you set your mind to it. And so a big part of my group is reporting my goals and having accountability. And it's motivating others, right? So every month I have a goal. Every month I verbalize the goal. I have it on my whiteboard. I talk about it in my groups and my Instagram and everything. And then tomorrow I will report on the send-in goal. And then, and so far I've crushed them. So I'm just going to keep doing it.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Hey, I got a quick question in the chat, and the chat's flying. I'll be honest. We have 41 watching. This is the most that we've ever had watching the show, and I think that's amazing. And I think that goes to just the quality of the guests that we have on. If I kind of been doing things a little backwards. I'm growing my YouTube, and she's grown her eBay or Amazon business and done eBay and couponing, and now she's focusing on YouTube, where I'm kind of doing the opposite. Now I'm on YouTube looking for answers to grow into the business that she is. Everybody who is in this panel tonight, in the description is their please go to their page and like and subscribe. And if they're talking in the chat, you can like and subscribe with the 3 dots to the right. But I want to go back to this question real quick. So, because I don't want to have someone on the show and say, hey, look, you're not letting the people, think about that. YouTube is the only really format where you can go on. You can't call into even when you call into a radio station, a lot of times they select or they have a screener that decides who they're going to talk to or how many people they want to take. If you come to our channels here on YouTube, you get to ask the questions, and hopefully we can provide you answers. Brian Spear says, Jess, are you hitting 60K with RA or wholesale or both? Now, I'm not sure what he meant. Oh, 60K was what you did in a month.
So it was retail arbitrage. It was November, and it wasn't just, I've reached all the way up to 112K in March of this year before multiple seasons went away. Multiples were so beautiful to me, right? So this month we're going to hit, I'm at 72. I think I'm at 72 for May. Retail arbitrage is my big model, and then I couple that with online arbitrage. I do subscribe to a list that helps me. I'm not a super savvy. I just got tactical arbitrage software less than a month ago. But so, when you're in Kohl's or when you're in a store, you find the deals and then you go online and buy more, right? Because then you already know that it's a deal. So it kind of couples together. If I was not in St. Louis, if I was in a more rural area, I would definitely be amping up my online arbitrage game. So for those of you, I lived in I was a farm girl when I was growing up. So, my model is retail arbitrage, and I have a little bit of RA, and then I have a few products that are in the kitchen category that I just kind of like stumbled upon. So, that's who I am. RA is where I am,
Now, what would be your margin on that 60K? You talked about 30%, but what do you bottom? You don't have to tell me how much, because I understand. In other words, you said right out from the that you take $1,000 a week, so that's $4,000 a month. But how much out of that 60,000, how much is the net typically? I mean, are you netting 12,000 and then you're plowing that money back into more inventory to keep growing to reach that $1 million? Am I correct?
Right. So here are the numbers that I am currently going for. I am currently spending about $40,000 a month, sometimes a little less, to send in. I actually could pull the exact numbers that we've sent in this month for May. I keep it all tracked because I'm a numbers person. So in May, we have sent in a retail value of $108,504. The cost of goods was $26,653 with a profit of $22,832, and that's an 85.67% profit. But I want to tell you, this is before you reprice. So you have to know that your prices are going to fluctuate. This was right at send in. If everything sold the day it hit the warehouse, then I could make this money. Now I'm selling $72,000 a month. So I'm not selling all of that I sent in, right?
Right.
And so if you could, so my minimum return on investment is 30%. And profit, you have to do, there's a lot to factor in. As far as I might have a business loan, I have to pay my sorcerers, that kind of stuff. But
Now,
those are my numbers.
Quick question on that, on the sorcerers. Are they independent 1099s?
Right.
Right. So they could set their own time as far as when they want to go to Kohl's.
Oh, yeah.
Now, do you give them? I heard you mention Pennsylvania. That's in my state.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they're shopping at my Kohl's.
They probably are.
How did you decide, and when did you decide? And can you share typically? I mean, are you paying them by the hour, by the piece, a percentage?
Right.
In case anybody wants to expand, because obviously you've admitted that what you're doing is you're using the resources of three shoppers in a sense, going out there, and you give them a list of what to get.
No. So there's a few different ways. Okay. So my three shoppers slash sorcerers, they get a weekly spend, right? So I will fund them. Like today, I sent $2,000 to Kimmy, and she will go with my thresholds, and she will use Scoutify, and she will purchase items that are within my thresholds, right? I don't give her a buy list. So she's going to Kohl's, she's going to Ross, she's going to Marshall's, wherever she knows that she has experience. And in Pennsylvania, she does mostly clothes because it is tax-free, right? And so that's how I fund them. Then they get a percentage. They're for my model currently, I'm giving them 8% of their spend. So if they spend $1,000, they keep 80 of it, and then they also have a prep fee. So the shopping is one, and then the prepping is another. So because that costs money, it costs time, and it costs prep materials. So then they'll add that prep to the running total, right? And then for my assistant here, she is hourly. I pay her hourly, an hourly rate that's set by the market here for a personal assistant. And then she does all the prepping, but I buy all the materials for that. So she's just purely a $1 per hour, 1099 whenever she wants to do it. And then the other sorcerer here in St. Louis, same thing. So but I know that there is a commission-based model that I'm also learning about, where the shopper will shop, and then they will, once the item sells, you can pay them like a 20 or 25% commission on the profit of that item. So I hired my sorcerers. We started this business. I might move over to the commission-based business. It just depends, because if they make a bad buy, then
Right.
you still have to pay for it. So my friend Tony and I, she's one of the admins at Ladies of FBA, we were actually working on a course to teach you how to outsource your sourcing or scale your RA, because no one is teaching about this. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing the data gathering and the experience gathering for my followers, so that those that are able to and want to outsource will be prepared.
Now, what don't you worry that, I mean, these girls, these shoppers have a lot of knowledge. Why are they not doing their own Amazon and just say, you know what, we're just not gonna, we're gonna try to make the full amount, or do you have a contract with them that says, hey, look, they're not gonna, do that?
So we have non-disclosure agreements. We disclose our storefronts to each other, or they, I'm not going to hire them. And then we also have, oh my gosh, we did background checks. So yeah, for sure, that first funding is a risk. It's a risk to your business. But Kimmy came to me with great reference. Heather came to me with great reference, and then Nikki actually lives about 35 minutes from me, and she's pretty green as well. But they have the skill set to source, but they might not have the capital for their business. So why not use this skill set to help another seller? So I completely love it because it gives me a chance to do a YouTube live with my new friends instead of worrying about having to go source.
How did you find all these people, like all these people to help you?
So yeah, it was all through my Facebook group. So Heather, she owns Oregon Prep and Pack, I think is Oregon Prep and Pack, and they're in a tax-free state. So she was just doing the prep work, but then she mentioned, hey, I'm going to do some sourcing. Would you like me to do that for you? And then Kimmy actually messaged me, and she's like, hey, if you're hiring sorcerers, I would love the job. And then I was like, oh, people want to do this. So then Nikki, I found her as well. And she was like, yeah, I'll do it. And the great thing about Nikki is I've met her, we've hugged, and so it was all through my Facebook. It was through social media.
That's awesome. I had another question. I know that you were talking numbers as your goals. I'm wondering what your driving force is. Like what is all this, motivation to do all these things? What are you prepared? Are you doing it to buy a house? Are you just, trying to do it because you love numbers? Are you trying to take a vacation or?
All of those things. 4 kids is expensive.
True story.
So, don't tell my kids, but we're going to go to Disney next year.
What month?
I'm not telling. I don't know. Whenever.
World or land? Disneyland or World?
I love
World.
Disney.
Are we all going together? Are we doing a caravan? Are we doing a caravan?
I was hoping to catch the bus.
Right? So, that I'm actually using all of my. So we have 2 companion passes because of OA. We have 2 companion passes for the 6 of us, which is a big deal for me, right? I love to travel. So traveling, I have to travel minimum 1 time a year in a plane. We have 2 trips booked. So that's my driving factor is traveling. Driving factor is, the driving factor for scaling and having sorcerers by tomorrow, which is May 31st, because I want to spend the summer with my kids. I'm still going to build my brand. I'm still going to, next week, I still have to source and I still have to prep because my one assistant is on vacation. But I want to go to Six Flags and I want to go to the zoo. So those are the things that's why I had the goal to outsource. And then I just want to see where my limits can take me. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, totally. I mean, I'm sure
it.
It's a thrill. It's a natural high, each time you hit one of those number goals.
Oh my gosh, it's totally. Yeah. And so, I mean, and when you're couponing, you're finding a deal and it's adrenaline. Like you get that endorphins.
Like I jump up and down and I clap.
Yeah, exactly. And then you text your friends. So now you can text me because I totally understand. So, the driving factor is I want to find success. The driving factor for my group is I want to help and inspire and motivate other women to do their best, and like not be afraid of the hurdles that they have to go through, because I've tried to like pave the way so it's not as scary, because it totally is. Like I never took one business class. I'm a scientist. I studied insects. And so there was never a time where I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. Like I don't know how to, get a business license. But now here I am, and now I just want to be inspire, and then I want to inspire my children to let them know that you can do whatever you set your mind out to do.
Scott,
That's awesome.
Scott, the bearded picker, has a quick question. Are you going to ASD?
So I haven't been able to go to ASD because I have 1,000 children. I believe I might have been still in the nursing mom mode for the last one. So yes, I would love to make it to all kinds of conferences. But I think hopefully now that I'm out of the two, like she's two, like I'm out of that foggy feeling. Hopefully I could make it to some cool conferences. Because I would love to meet everyone. Like, sometimes this is very lonely, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
it really is.
I can agree. How old are your kids?
11, 11, 8, and 2. I got a
handful.
full house. I got a full house, baby. That's why I got that minivan. Not for RA, for those kids.
And I think that you talk about the loneliness. That's why many of us actually are doing YouTube. And just to kind of talk about the business and learn from one another and expand on what we're doing. I know for me, now we're getting towards the end of the show because I asked you to come on for an hour. And to be honest, you've provided so much information that we could probably go all night here. But you know, I know you got 4 kids. My 2 kids are growing up, so I don't have diapers to change or nothing like that. But what can you tell me kind of what categories that you primarily sell in on, or is it a big category as far as on Amazon?
So beauty is my main.
When you say beauty, like lipstick, hairspray, like.
Okay, so all types of cosmetics. So all makeup items like eyeliners, mascaras, eyeshadows, lip gloss, lipstick, all of that. And then also like creams and serums and sunscreens in the beauty category. You know, health and personal care, so like deodorants and anything that is going to be a replenishable, I will try it if it's profitable. So that's going to be, I have at least, I think I'm at like 180 SKUs that are replens, and that's the baseline of your business. And so in the past 6 months, I've been ramping up my grocery. So I think I'm at like 15% of my model is grocery, and then a lot of clothing and toys, right? So I do toys. I've been getting ungated with Sheffer.com because I just really ramped up toys in Q4 with my friend Tony. She really was a good encouragement to me to get those toys in. So this Q4, I'm just gonna really take those toys by storm. Those are my main categories, and I really do push grocery because it's a fast flip. So those of you that have a small amount of capital, you can move that capital faster in grocery.
Now, would you say if a person had $1,000 or $2,000 and wanted to start Amazon FBA, could they start it? And obviously with the mindset to say, hey, look, I'm not going to take money out for at least 6 months because I want to keep scaling it. Is that a budget that you think is doable to get to a point where, for me, let's say doing $3,000 a month, you could probably hope to net $400 or $500 a month profit?
I mean, I can't tell you exactly because it's going to be up to you to do the hustle, right? But you can definitely, I mean, my friend Paul, he started with $300 and he's doing almost $1 million a year.
Wow.
I think it's 4 years. I can check on that. But I mean, and it really is about the hustle. If you go and get all the books and all the free books that you can, and then you just start, you know, and then you mind your thresholds and you mind your return on investments, and you do it very smart, and you know, and go wide with a lot of SKUs so you can get good experience. That would be that's what I tell my mentees. You know, that's what I tell them, and so far, you know, I've had really great feedback with my mentoring program.
Now, how many people, you talked about the mentoring program, how many people are participating in your mentoring program right now, and do you charge for that? Is that something else outside of Amazon that you're making money?
Yeah, so I started mentoring last spring, and actually my mentoring rates go up tomorrow. That's kind of funny. So it's at ladiesofFBA.com. And yeah, so I do a single hour session. I have a 3-hour package, and then I have a 6-hour package. And then, so I have mentored, I would say, at least 50 people. I actually got 6 new clients this week because I had been announcing that, you know, the rates are going up. So they're trying to get in before the rates go up tomorrow. And so, but I mean, the impact of my group is 1,500. The impact of the mentoring, I'd have to tally, but I think it's over 50 people in the past year.
My buddy John from the UK, you know, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's been a loyal follower of mine, and I met him through the Bearded Picker show. He's on the show tonight, and he's asking, do you mentor men?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
That's what I didn't want to answer that for you, because I remember when I sent you a request to join the one group, and you're like, Pat, you can't come in with the ladies. You got it.
I'm sorry. And so, yeah.
So even I, the host, didn't get special privilege.
Right. So unfortunately, the niche that I, came into in 2017 was Ladies of FBA. And now I've opened up the door by having the Facebook page to follow Jessica Hill, Ladies of FBA, the Instagram, and the YouTube to my co-ed followers. I am absolutely 100% wanting to grow anyone's business with them, like anyone.
Now, why don't you real quick, and I have one more question, and I'll let the other girls then ask if they have any more questions before we let you go. I appreciate taking the time. Why didn't you, everybody's always cynical. Oh, now she's doing mentoring, and that's more what she's selling. Why are you doing mentoring? I know in my heart, I think why you do mentoring, to educate people, and really to have people that want to step up and pay you a little fee for that knowledge, to kind of, because there's going to be people that are going to bug you every day for questions, but they're never going to pull the trigger to do something.
There are a few people that do that. But I mean, really, I hire my own mentors, for 2 years now. I've had mentors, and their time is valuable, and I have learned so much from them. And then I said, I mean, people ask, hey, can I have an hour of your time? And I'm like, oh, okay, and they're like, what is your rate? And I'm like, oh, okay, so, and the thing is with each of my mentoring clients, I genuinely am friends with them, and after, especially if you get 6 sessions, like we're friends, and I just get super excited when they send me their screenshot of, a really big day, or I can't believe this sold, those kinds of things. And so really for me, it's about just leading and inspiring and motivating everyone to do their best.
Well, I tell you, you've inspired, and I tell you, I'm really excited. I think this is probably the best show I've done. That I've had someone so knowledgeable come on. I mean, I don't know if you remember, in the first 10 minutes, you asked me a question about a book, if I ever read it or not. Do you remember that 3 weeks ago?
So I have been reading, I don't read books, I read Facebook, but I have been listening to audiobooks like crazy. I'm addicted to it. So it was Crush It, probably, or the 4-Hour Work Week. Those are my 2 tops.
Well, this is the book that you brought up when we had, and that day I went and bought it because, again, it's just taking action and listening to. And it's funny you brought up the 4-Hour Work Week, because on Scott the Bearded Picker show, John Chartier, who's on there, who's also a very successful Amazon. He's doing like $4 million a year he goes by the name of The Homeless Millionaire, and he's reading that book now, and he's gotten some of his followers to buy into that book. But I bought this book because, again, I don't think it just takes one thing. It takes mentors, and Scott, whether, I'm going to give him credit. He's been a mentor to me and a friend, meeting people like yourself. I like to have fun and kid around on YouTube, but I take this, sometimes I've been told I'm a little bit too serious, and there's time to be serious because I want to take care of my family, and there's time we can have fun along the way. But when you gave me that advice, I didn't ignore it. I went out right away and bought this book, and I appreciate you, letting me know about that. But I want to give Kimberly and Tiffany a chance to ask you a question before we let you go. And I really appreciate you. You put a lot of good stuff out there tonight.
Well, I asked a few questions, but I do see somebody in the chat has a really, actually a really good question. Every day I'm hustling asked, have you had issues with grocery products getting damaged in transit to the customer, or customers saying the item is damaged? They don't do returns, and he lost out on his money.
Okay, so for sure, there's going to be loss in any retail business. Amazon is not going to add any kind of prep to your product. So for me, I have cans. One of my product is in a can, and I had gotten some feedback that they were dented. So I took it upon myself to increase the prep. So just from a poly bag or shrink wrap, now it is bubble wrapped, because obviously we cannot trust Amazon to ship our stuff. And like I said, I sell a lot of beauty. So I do bubble wrap it, because a lot of those eyeshadows, a lot of those palettes, I will actually ship merchant fulfilled, because I do not trust Amazon. They will put a can of beans next to your eyeshadow, and then boom, it's all over. So I think it's a learning that it is your due diligence to prep your items. Do the 3-foot drop test, because they're gonna drop it. Like, I'm just letting you know. And then I actually over polybag things, because in my mind, because there is grocery in the warehouse, I just think that there's rats everywhere. I'm like, I don't want my stuff to get touched by anything. So I will even polybag or shrink wrap things that maybe I'm a little bit overly. I came from a quality assurance background, so that's probably why. So I would encourage you to ensure that your packaging and your prepping is very good, because they might just throw it in like a bubble bag, like a bubble mailer.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. And that's the whole drop kick test. One of the first packages that I sent out for eBay a couple of years ago, I was like really paranoid about. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I had been in a previous business, so I was already going to the post office a lot. So I had kind of developed a relationship with the post office ladies, and I'm like, this is what I'm doing. I really want to make sure, that it doesn't get ruined. And she's all, do the drop kick test. And I'm like, what? She's all, literally drop it and kick it. And if it survives, then you did a good job packaging it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, even your UPS driver has bad days. I'm just saying, I try to give them snacks and bottles of water all the time, because you want them
must be what I'm doing wrong to my mailman. I'm not giving him snacks, or as everybody's talking about gummies in the chat. No.
I know, I noticed that, and I'm like, okay.
I do live in Colorado, so.
Oh, well, I'm coming over. So yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, don't write fragile on anything. They take it as a challenge. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. The mail lady even said that there's some guys who literally make it like a thing to kick the box. I'm all,
wow.
But, I mean, that's just the thing you got to think about. You never know. So better to be safe than sorry. And I'm like that with all my items, kind of overdoing it. Most of my items or shipping supplies I get for free. The only thing I don't pay for is tape. So it's not like, taking the extra time to bubble wrap something is going to hurt me financially.
Right. So yeah, I think just every day I'm hustling. I'm just saying, I think just try to amp up the prepping. I know it stinks, and they aren't supposed to have returns on food. So I, focus on things that aren't very breakable, maybe in like a plastic bottle or something. But unfortunately, Amazon, sometimes the shipping is not what we would like.
Tiffany, you want to?
Yes, I did have a question for you, Jess. As far as I believe you said like the first 2 years you kind of just did this on your own without employees. So as a mom, and your responsibility is how did you juggle doing RA with those? Because I just had a lady message me today, and she was asking me, she's like, I know you do a lot of RA. I'm a mom, and I have a husband, and I work, and she's like, I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, well, I don't have those responsibilities, so I don't know. So I'm going to ask you.
Whoa. Aliens have come.
We have a ghost visitor. We have a
That
ghost.
was weird. I've never heard anything like that. Casper, where are you?
That like my stomach tickled. I was like,
that was weird.
so because I am full time and my kids are at school, so otherwise I like in Q4 I shop almost 24 hours a day. So
Wow.
I when they're at school and then I take a 4-hour break, dinner, homework, everything else, and then it's hard because she might not have childcare.
Yes.
And so I would actually leave like if I was going, I would go sourcing at 9 o'clock and then hit the 24-hour stores. So I would just encourage her to try to do time management, but then also if OA is a better option for her, I would
Yes.
encourage her to, make a brand list and see what she's ungated in and start scouring one website at a time because that might be her model.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. I thought OA was probably a better fit for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up as far as Jessica. Me and Kimberly are going to probably go for about another 10 minutes afterwards to kind of just talk a little bit about couple little things about what we're doing and stuff like that. If you guys want to stay and hang out. But, Jess, I really appreciate you guys and Tiffany coming on the show. The show went fast because you guys, we didn't have no moments, that you guys provided a lot of information, and I really appreciate it. I see in the chat real quick. I must have missed it. I was bouncing back and forth between Google Hangouts. What happened? Did ET come into the someone's room?
Yeah, I guess, or something. That's what they think the aliens are coming to pick you up, Pat.
Yeah. So, Jess, I don't want to hold you up. If you need to go, if you want to say some final words.
Yeah, I just really appreciate you reaching out to me, Pat, and to the ladies. It was so nice to talk to you guys, and I really look forward to connecting with you and your audience and growing. And if you want to visit me on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, you know where to find me now. And I really appreciate it. This has been an amazing time.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I did throw out her link to both, the YouTube and the Facebook throughout the live, but they are also in the description.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I'll say
Right.
I'm in the group. I've been in there as soon as I found out there was a ladies group. I'm like, I'm getting in here, and it's awesome. She gives you great information. She gives you, a lot of resources. And if you have questions, there's so many supportive people in that group. So it's a great place to be.
I was thinking about changing my screen name maybe to Patdees,
Yep.
so that I could come into the group.
Yep. You're going to have to, you got to sneak in somehow.
And they know I like to wear wigs, so I mean I could pull it off.
Oh, gracious.
Yeah, that's a joke from when we did a St. Patty's Day show. We all dressed up, and I wore a green wig for the group. But that was something
with a big bow in it, though.
Oh my gosh! I just found my people. Mwah! Yeah. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Jess, I appreciate you coming on. What I want to do before we close out is I got 2 packages this week. Hey, Denise, can you come here then?
Denise, hi, Denise.
I got this from a viewer, and we're gonna only take about 5 minutes here, real quick. I showed this the other day, but Big Daddy from Minnesota sent me some interesting stuff that I want to show you guys. And this is the kindness of total strangers, just reaching out, knowing I like things, and they sent me out. So I'm not gonna break everything out of that because Kimberly sent me something here, and the note I got from Big Daddy 1992 is, I know you like this kind of stuff, so I thought I'd share some with you. God bless. And Big Daddy 1992, and he's on eBay and YouTube. So give me a second. My son, who's running around in shorts here, we're gonna move a chair into position so that my wife can join me real quick here. Hold on. So you girls can talk real quick. Give me a second.
I am like you in the whole fact of I love listening to books on tape. I have Alexa, so I listen to Audible all the time. Have you heard of Brene Brown? Like, she's a motivational speaker, and I love her. I actually found her originally on Netflix, but when you showed me the 4-Hour Work Week, I love Tony Robbins and all of them. So I didn't know if you had heard of her yet. Brene Brown is her name. I think that's how you say her name.
Yeah,
Hi, Denise.
Brene Brown.
So this, you know, this is my wife, Denise, by the way. She's the one that's out working, running a restaurant all the time. She's not one that usually likes to, if you could tell, I'm usually the quiet one, and she's probably the talkative one. So Kimberly sent me this, and I wanted to open this. She asked me if I could open this, and I said, sure. I had to bribe my wife to come in. Her name is Denise. Say hello.
Hello.
Hi.
And this is Jessica with the glasses, and Tiffany. These are the ladies that are going to help us get so that you don't have to go to the restaurant every day anymore.
Yes.
So let me read the note real quick, and then it says, is it all right if I read it, Kimberly?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. To my dearest PETA, a.k.a. Charlie. PETA, I know what that stands for. Charlie, I tease, in case anyone doesn't know, Destiny and Kimberly and Rebecca that's in the room, I usually call them my angels, and out of a joke. Says, thank you for being such an amazing friend, even if you are a pain. On a serious note, I am truly blessed to have you as a friend like you. Give Denise my best regards, 2019 forever, Kimberly. And then P.S., I'm waiting for my lasagna. I told her when I come out there, I used to work in an Italian restaurant also, that I would make the family lasagna. So, no,
I like
Scott,
lasagna too.
Scott, you're not chopped liver. You mean a lot more to me than I think sometimes you realize. And I hope when I come on your show, I don't ever embarrass you, and I appreciate the opportunity. So here's sorry.
You're so awesome, Pat.
Sorry, guys.
You're all right. Good to see the softer side.
A Knoebels bear that she sent us, and Knoebels is a big amusement park in our area. So you know, that's nice because we love to go there. And oh wow, she sent me a key ring with my name on it, Patrick.
I tried to look for Denise. Your name is it's not common. I couldn't find it.
And hold on, let me open this real quick. Sorry, I got a little emotional there. I don't think people realize that how important, you know, YouTube and meeting all of you guys has been to me. And you know, I used to be in charge of a restaurant, and things happen. Unfortunately, I'm not there no more. And so this has been, everybody's kind of come into my life at the right time. So, you know, I appreciate all of you that, you know, support the channel and stuff. So, and me personally. So I appreciate it. So let me get this open here. Okay, that's the real trouble with the world. Too many people grow up. Walt Disney, and I'm a big, you know, that's one thing with having the restaurant. I always took the time. I had a crappy car, but over the last 20 years, I took the kids and my wife, you know, 8 times to Disney World because I always thought it was important to at least, you know, take a break and stuff like that. So it's very nice to receive stuff. So. I'm going to let everyone go. I appreciate you guys taking the time to stop, and you guys have a good night, okay?
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.